so glad you're getting that message.
Authenticity, man, it's real. When you're in this world of speaking and in this world that's shrinking the way it's shrinking, where everyone can get in touch with everyone, if you're not being authentic, then you got a problem. People will feel that on you, and you'll never get a message, and no one will ever respond to you. So
you're right. I couldn't agree more.
Right. Now, with that, though, I'm going to give you the mic for a second. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background and, how you kind of came into being this entrepreneur and starting the app and things like that. And then I'll get into more questions about specifically how to use it and stuff like that. So the mic is yours for a second. Just give us a brief introduction of where you're from and things like that.
Yeah. So my name is Amanda McGrew. I am from Santa Monica, California, originally. Went to New England, to the University of Rhode Island for 4 years to play basketball. And then a 5th year up in Massachusetts at UMass Lowell. Did a short stint overseas in Germany, and came back to LA, where I jumped in immediately to being a PE teacher and basketball coach. So I've been working at a private school in Los Angeles for this is like my 10th year, which is terrifying to say.
Oh, man. Don't say it like that.
That's really scary, but yeah, the time has flown by. But yeah, I've been teaching and coaching for the last 10 years. And I think it was when I was coaching at a high school. And honestly, I mean, I have degrees in finance and marketing. I jumped straight into PE coaching because I had no interest in leaving the athletic community whatsoever. I had no idea what I was going to be good at. I had no idea what my passions were beyond athletics at all. And so it took me really a while to kind of figure anything out. And it was when I stopped coaching the high school basketball team that I was coaching, it kind of freed up a little bit of my nights and weekends and some of my free time. And I was able to really sit back and think like, wow, I'm like, 25, 26, 27, and I'm like in the dating world and it sucks. Like I'm on all these online dating apps because that's just become the new socially acceptable way to meet somebody. And, I'm on all the generic apps and I just really seem to not be able to find anybody like me. I found myself immediately liking or focusing on any guy who had some sort of action shot or athletic picture or whatever. And it just kind of really sparked this idea in my mind that when I was in college, I was surrounded by athletes, as I'm sure you were as well. It was, you went to the training room, the weight room, study hall, right, the dining hall, anywhere, even outside of practice, you were surrounded by other athletes. And I think I probably took that for granted when I was 18 to 23 or whatever. But
yes.
After the fact, I was like, wow, I actually really enjoyed that. How do I get that back?
Right. Actually, Coach Malloy, my high school coach used to say that all the time. He goes, I know you guys don't think you're going to miss this, but you're going to miss this shit so much, you're not going to know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. If I could get online right now and run some suicides for somebody, I probably would.
Yes.
And I'm sure my coach would die laughing to hear me say that. But man, it was such an experience and I wouldn't trade it for anything. That's for sure.
Exactly.
And because, and to that point, because of how special we clearly think it was, I think that is what really drove home the idea for Playoff. It's like, I think it just is an unbelievable foundation to have this common experience with somebody that you can share, that not only you guys, obviously, not only you can talk about and reminisce about and all those things, but I also know that it has totally shaped who I am as a human being. So it's like, it's totally shaped the decisions I'm making and the way I'm navigating the world and the way I handle adversity or handle problems, or even whether it's a problem at my teaching job or whether it's an issue with a relationship with somebody in my family or whatever. I feel like my athletic career has really been like a driving force in who I am. Obviously, I also definitely, subscribe to the idea that we are all much more than just athletes, but I know that my athletic career is definitely a huge part of my identity, even beyond, my playing days. So I was hoping I wasn't the only one that felt that way. And it turns out I'm not. Right now, I launched the platform in December of 2017. So it just had its 3rd birthday. And yeah,
I just became a subscriber. So
there we go. Milestones. So since then, we've got, over 20,000 downloads, and there's people constantly using the app. We have success stories and, people meeting and dating and connecting. And I think honestly, the sky's the limit. I just cannot wait to get it to where I know it can go.
Yes. And well, I'm glad, thanks for running all that down. And I'm glad you brought that up, or brought up your athletic playing career and things like that, because it takes a lot for someone to admit when they're single, or it takes, especially I work in fitness, so I speak to a lot of females. And when we start talking relationships, that's when I've lost friends, because it becomes such a touchy subject with them. And sometimes they don't want to, I don't want to admit I'm single, or they want to act like there's so much that goes on. So I'm very careful when I'm approaching that conversation. And I really wanted to ask you, what led to your ability to be so transparent? Because I'll be honest with you, for me, I've been single for so long. It's like, I just got to a point where I stopped caring. And because we live in a world where if you're not going out there and you're not basically saying what you really are, then shame on you. If you're acting like you're somebody you're not, shame on you, because we have the opportunity to connect with whoever we want. But what kind of led to your transparency?
Right. I think it was, trial and error. I think realizing that in terms of like my dating experience, like I have, dated people that have been wonderful and people that have been less than wonderful. And, it's like no matter what, we've all kind of gone through these experiences and tried to kind of figure it out our own way. And I think I just assumed, and I was really hoping that like other people could relate to that. Like there's experiences that I had when I was in college that I'm sure would have played out very differently had I gone through that same experience when I was 30, so it's like everyone's going through these, crazy maturity, experiences and, relationships that like, timing is everything. So knowing that like certain different things are happening for a reason at different times in your life. And I know, everything, it's like, if it's not a blessing, it's some sort of a lesson somehow. And I think people can relate to that. People can relate to things not working out, people can relate to things not going your way and you wishing something happened a different way, or you still fighting the fight to find happiness or love or whatever that looks like, whatever success in that realm looks like for you. I think people can relate to not having that immediate and instant gratification like the world kind of pretends you can have, and tries to make you believe that's, I mean, I'm sure for some people that is attainable, but it's most certainly not for everybody. And I think, I've been single for a very long time too. And it's like knowing that other people can relate to that, I think is much more empowering for me. One of my most difficult things to do ever is be the face of like the playoff social media. And that's just because I hate social media. It's like, I love like being on podcasts and connecting with people like you and like-minded people. I think it's incredible. But like holding my phone up to my face and starting my camera like, hey guys, it's me again. Like that's the most awful thing to me in the world. But the feedback that I have gotten is truly that it's relatable and that people are like, no, they're going through the same thing. And I guess, so it's nice to get that feedback. I don't think it makes me, putting my face on there any easier for me, but we'll see, maybe we'll get there. Yeah.
Right. You got to be thinking about all these men. Like I went to 3 different colleges. I started at Carson Newman College in East Tennessee. Then I tore my ACL, and then I went to a community college.
Oh, so did I.
And then I finished at Stony Brook University. But my freshman year was when I first got a Facebook account. And now you got me thinking about all my bad dates. But I messaged this girl, and I'm noticing she's on, and I hate to say this now because it's going to make me seem very shallow, but I'm noticing her pictures are only from the neck up.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, whatever, I message her, and then we meet up, and she's like, really, she's huge. She's just, I'll put it this, she's not my type. We'll put it like that. She's not my type.
Yeah.
So, all right, how does your dating app help us with avoid situations like that?
So the one thing that I really love about Playoff, among many other things, is that to the best of our ability, we are making sure that everybody on the platform is who they say they are. So they're obviously, every individual can choose their own pictures and they're able to present themselves in the way that they see fit, which is up to themselves. Outside of that, there is a verification process where each athlete needs to submit a link to their athletic bio, whether it's an article, a roster, a team page, a stat sheet, whatever it is with your name on it, just to prove that you played at this level and you did what you are claiming to have done. And then the next piece is that you have to submit a selfie giving us a thumbs up. And that's really, I mean, as silly as it sounds, that's really just to verify that everybody is who they say they are. You are the person in your pictures. You're not pretending to be some famous eligible bachelor or eligible bachelorette who's an athlete or whatever. And And honestly, right now, as playoff is getting growing, I think people have like chuckled at that fact. And I'm like, okay, you're laughing now, but like, what's going to happen when somebody wants to pretend to be like Blake Griffin or so, I don't know, somebody who's a little more, notable.
Mhm.
People are going to be pretty upset because right now there are Olympians and professional athletes on the app. It's as of right now, like to know whether or not there's people on there who have a famous name or have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers or whatever, like that's their business. But I just want everyone on the app to be able to be certain that people are who they say they are. I feel like the internet already is a very scary place, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
that's exactly where I was going. It's like,
like
it's
you don't know,
scary to be
you never
honest.
know who you're talking to. Like,
Mhm.
there's just no security or safety in any of it. So to provide at least some kind of reassurance or some sliver of peace of mind to know that, if I match with somebody and it says he played soccer at Duke or whatever, like I can for the most part be sure that is what happened. So I think there is a nice peace of mind there. Although again, like people are going to be able to express themselves and present themselves however they see fit. So not sure if
Right.
we've totally, conquered the neck up picture situation, but
Yeah. Yeah,
like God, that's
that was
prevalent
kind of my
on
fault, but
Instagram now.
I was an 18-year-old kid. I wasn't asking the right questions myself. I
Right,
wasn't
right.
completely out of it. So
We live and we learn.
it's like you said, trial and error, trial and error.
Right,
There's been a lot of
totally.
that. So, well, that really leads me into what I want to. What kind of innovations? What can we kind of expect with the dating app now
So
for 2021?
one of the biggest goals I have, particularly for 21, which is just a goal to kind of get it moving and growing faster, is to get playoff into the Olympic Village this summer. I think that would be an incredible space to have athletes from all different countries be able to connect, obviously. But in terms of innovation, I really, really want to be able to create a platform within playoff that is just for, networking or friendships or some kind of platonic relationship where you just want to
Right.
connect with athletes.
Right.
I think there's a huge market for that. And I think, obviously I don't think athletes are like limiting themselves to only being friends with athletes, but I think, if you move to a new city or you get a new job or or like your life changes somehow, there are always going to be times where you might be wanting to connect with people near you. The other thing that I found really, really interesting about playoff is that if you get outside, like if I'm swiping through people in Los Angeles and I get outside of my radius and there's no more people to swipe through, it'll just like playoff will automatically start broadening your radius and it'll start showing you people farther and farther away just for the entertainment value of swiping. And I thought that was going to be frustrating for people, but I figured, well, people would rather swipe through potential matches as opposed to just continuing to see this message of like, hey, there's no one near you. Hey, there's no one near you. Still no one near you. So I wanted people to be able to swipe even if people were far away. And I've realized that's been huge for playoff. People have started long distance relationships.
Right.
I've been told people have started long distance relationships and moved to the same city now to be with one another.
Right.
So the other thing about athletes, especially at the professional level, depending on, what sport they play, there's players playing overseas who normally live in America. There's players who are playing in minor league baseball who are traveling all over America, 2 days at a time. And so I think honestly, location has become far less important. I thought it was going to be like a major factor. And I think obviously there is a convenience piece, right, where people do want to swipe through people who are near them. But if it goes beyond that, it seems like nobody has a problem with it. So I think that would play a huge part into the, networking and friendship platform also.
Right. Well, I think you said the right word too with friendship, because in relationships in general, I don't think it's going to work if you can't be friends with the person.
Yeah.
I really don't. And this is just based on playing football for years and being in the fitness world and living through divorce after divorce. I mean, I've seen people come in heartbroken, and it's particularly because you're not focusing on building a friendship with the person. So I'm really happy that you thought of that, because that would have been the one thing that for me, like that would have turned me off. If I can't be friends with that person, then it wouldn't work.
Absolutely. I feel like that's the basis and that foundation of any relationship.
And well, you're kind of, because I'll be honest, like I was against dating apps for a while, and then I heard you on Taj's podcast, and I was like, man, this is a little more than a dating app. This is like going back to playing ball again, just hanging around the fellas and just hanging around like-minded people.
Right. And to be honest, I will say, like, current college athletes, it's really interesting to try to market playoff to them because
Hmm.
they're still surrounded by each other. So like they don't need help dating. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're still in the mix of the whole thing and they're loving life. But it's funny when I reach out to them, the overwhelming response that I get from people who are currently in college is like, oh, well, I don't really typically use dating apps, but I'll definitely use this one. Like this one's super cool. Like I'll like,
Right.
because it's designed for me. And so I
Yeah.
think knowing that it's like exclusively to you and there's like, you know, you're playing into every, you know, intangible, what I think is are amazing qualities about athletes. You know, you're kind of
Hmm.
playing into all of it. And able to connect people. You know, I was talking to somebody who went to school in Rhode Island, and I was like, there's like 10 other colleges in Rhode Island within like 50 miles. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Hmm.
ton of other athletes who you don't know who are most certainly within your driving distance or whatever of being able to have a connection with them, you know?
Yes.
And so it's really interesting, especially when you start thinking about how, you know, outside of just D1, like how many schools there really are, even just in America. We're not even getting into, you know, Europe or Canada. You know, there are, the potential is huge. I truly believe that.
Mark Zuckerberg, move over. We got Amanda McGrew.
Your lips to God's ears. Your lips to God's ears.
Oh man. Yeah, I didn't even, as you're talking, I didn't even think about it. And you know, as we're always looking to build startup programs to startup leagues and things like that, to where
Yeah.
people go overseas, they live here, they live there, they don't understand your relationship. The most important decision you're going to make is who you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
And sometimes as athletes, we get so caught up in that world of winning games that we're at a loss. We're not prepared. I didn't start taking women seriously until I turned 26.
Right.
I'm 32 in a week, and I didn't start taking it seriously until after school because I was so focused on just playing ball and getting myself ready for the season.
Yeah, it's just really not the priority. I mean, it's funny because
Right.
it's there, so it's a priority in a much different manner. You know, it's a priority.
Mhm.
You know, I went through college and I, even after college, it's like, oh, these relationships that I'm forming with people, like this is fun. This is really fun. I enjoy this.
Yeah.
I like this. But it's like I didn't really sit down and think like, oh, could I like be with this person every day forever? Like that
No,
is
no,
not
did
the
not.
conversation I was having with myself. You know, like that wasn't happening. Or like, could I see this person being the father of my children? Like, is
Right.
that what I want to happen? And it wasn't until I really, you know, obviously got older that I was
Mhm.
like, now it's kind of funny. I know women joke about like the moment they like meet a guy, they're like immediately assessing him for like, is he
Mhm.
like husband material, father material, you know what I mean? Like all these things. It's so funny to like have, like to hear people have those conversations, but I'm like, oh, now I kind of get it because it's not like,
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it like it's a time crunch, but it's like your time is valuable. You know, like
Mhm.
you're looking at it in a way of like, I just don't want to waste it. It's not like I'm worried that I'm not going to have enough time. I just want to use it in a valuable way.
Exactly. And that's where I'm glad I have you on now because that's where we got to get our our athletes, current athletes,
Right.
because so many of them feel invincible. And I
Right.
mean, if I was to Taj will tell you, if I was to tell you all the things and all the stuff that gets said about women in those football locker rooms,
Oh
it
my
is
God. You don't
horrific.
yeah. Well, what's funny is like, because I was an athlete, like I was friends with the football team.
Oh
So it's
yeah, so you've heard
like,
you've heard
like
us.
on some level, depending on obviously which team we were talking about, like we talk
Mhm.
about the men's basketball team, it's like I feel like I was one of them. You know, like you're hearing conversations that a woman has no business hearing, but it's like in some, you know, dining hall table situations, I became one of the guys. You know, so it was
Yeah.
like, you're able to toe the line a little bit and kind of play both sides of the fence, which is a very interesting role to play for sure. But you're
Mhm.
definitely hearing some interesting conversations. And honestly, I will say the female locker room wasn't all that much better either.
Yeah, just college campuses in general,
Yeah.
and that's my issue with college, though. And I was lucky because I went to 3 different schools. But that issue, that feeling of, well, let's think about this. You wake up on a campus, and you walk across this beautiful lawn, and everything, the fountains going off, and
Right.
everything screaming complacency. Everything screaming
Right.
complacency. Now, I went to community college my sophomore year, like I mentioned, and I had to deal with traffic. I had to, I get my own coffee. I had to make my own breakfast. I didn't have someone, cooking the breakfast for me. And there
Right.
was no complacency. There was this mindset I got to get out. And I always used to think about the people that had to spend 4 years on that luxurious campus. Like
Mhm.
mentally, they are crippled because
Mm-hmm.
they think they have to meet someone at this campus. So forget about Magic, forget about all my goals, forget about grad school, forget about all the things. I mean, the amount of former pre-med and pre-law, all that goes out the window because of
Totally.
some college guy or some college girl. And I
Absolutely.
would be like, there's certain things I could not do, and it was because of that one experience. So, like, with what you're doing, how do you sort of prevent that complacency?
I think it's interesting because I think once you graduate, or I guess not even graduate, I guess once you move on from sports,
Mm-hmm.
and and I guess I only say that in terms of your playing career, because like I said, I feel like it's kind of in you forever,
Yeah.
for better or for worse. But once you're kind of past those playing days, I feel like you are able to see the world in a much broader scope. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're able to open your eyes up. One of the things I realized about when I was coaching high school basketball, I was coaching for a team that had won multiple state championships in California and was, top of the top, sending a bunch of girls to play D1, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But after like 5 or 6 years coaching that particular team, and all those girls will attest to like my role on the team, I decided very clearly that like I cared way less about the X's and the O's and about like winning and losing than I did about the relationships I had with those girls.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I was going to be that person. In college,
Right.
like I always thought I was going to be the person who was like, win by any means necessary, and we're doing whatever we have to do to get to the top. And like
Mm-hmm.
I think I was in the middle of it as what I looked like, or what I looked at as being an adult, to younger girls who were adolescents, and thinking like, oh, we are like shaping the rest of their lives. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that like this girl who's I don't know, I'm just making something up, who's crying because her boyfriend cheated on her or whatever. Like I'm gonna sit and talk to her. Like I'm not
Yes.
just gonna say suit up, shut up, and get on the court. Like, and
Right.
to answer the question, I think all of that changes once your playing career is over and you really start
Mm-hmm.
to figure out like who you are as a human being and what is important to you. For some people, no doubt, the winning is still the most important. I feel like those people are like coaching in college and coaching in professionally, and
Yeah.
those people are able to kind of have those careers. I knew right away I couldn't coach in college because having your livelihood depend on a performance of an 18-year-old was going to be very difficult, because I was going to have to try to make you want to win when really I just wanted
Exactly.
to help you be a good person.
Exactly. And then the recruiting aspect of it, it's so shady. I started off actually as a scout with National Scouting Report with NSR, and girls sports were our primary target. And that's when I realized everything you're saying. So it's a completely different world, because
Right.
those are the things, with football, it's winning and winning at all costs. But
Absolutely.
when you're talking about them playing a sport and it's able to get their mind away from certain things, man, it touches your heart in ways. Man, it touches.
Absolutely. And I think every athlete kind of, once they're done, faces that reality of, or especially if they're still involved in athletics in some capacity, like
Mm-hmm.
how is that affecting you, right? Like, are you able to just put your head down and keep trying to win? Or are you going to pull over to the side of the road and say, well, wait a minute, like, I want to like talk to these people, and I want to, build this relationship, or I want to, forge this connection that I think is going to help this person for the rest of their life.
There you go.
I don't really care if they show up to practice. You know what I mean? Like I used to have conversations with girls that was like, I really don't give a shit how many points you score. Like I cannot make that
Mm-hmm.
more clear. I cannot make that more clear. But
Mm-hmm.
like, obviously I still want to win. And if we're going to be out there, like lace them up and let's go. But
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and act like that is the biggest thing going on in your life right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, man, we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours.
Absolutely.
I do this thing with all my guests. It's called word association. I'm gonna say 4 words, and you just give me a quick 1-word response. What you think when you hear these 4 words?
Okay.
Ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Let's get it. All right. Word number 1: trustworthy.
Teammate.
Ooh, like it. All right. Word number 2: people.
Connection.
All right. Word number 3: relationships.
Love.
And the final word is teamwork.
Ooh, bonding.
Bonding. Boom, 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 boom. Love it, love it. All right,
I was like sweating through that.
it gets everyone. It gets everyone. All right. So before I officially close, I'm just gonna give you the mic for a second. Any parting words? Anything you'd like to say before I let you go? Go ahead.
No, I just really appreciate the time. Thank you, everybody. Anybody who's been willing to give this a listen. I hope you'd be willing to help spread the word about Playoff. I think it's going to be a huge resource for athletes all over the world, and I cannot wait to see it reach its full potential. So thank you so much for having me as a guest. I am forever grateful.